My sister-in-law abandoned her baby for a free-spirited lifestyle. Now she wants custody back 5 years later, but I slammed the door and took control. I, 32F, have been raising my husband's 32M niece Abby alongside my own kids as our daughter. And now suddenly, my sister-in-law Riley 25F is back, demanding that I give up custody so she can reclaim her daughter and complete her family. For the record, she was the one who gave Abby up in the first place. Now that I'm refusing to just let her take over, she's making a huge scene about it. It's become such a big issue that I've actually started to second-guess myself. All of this began 5 years ago when Riley got pregnant by her then-boyfriend. Though they weren't serious, she chose to keep the baby. He decided to walk away. That was it. Since my husband and I aren't especially close to Riley, we weren't invested in her pregnancy. Then, about 2 weeks after Abby was born, my mother-in-law showed up at our house and asked if I could look after the baby for a couple of weeks. She explained that Riley wanted to go back to college. She was only 20 at the time and had dropped out for a year because of the pregnancy. They told me they were hunting for apartments near her campus and would be back in a few days. So they needed my help, since there was no one else to trust with the baby. My husband and I love kids, and by that point, we already had our son. So, we agreed, thinking it would just be a short favor. But then they literally disappeared for almost 2 months. We tried calling and texting, even reaching out to them through others, but there was just no way to get in touch. When my mother-in-law finally reappeared, she told me Riley had decided to give up her baby and now expected me to raise her. Apparently, Riley had left the country, and that's what the last 2 months had been about, arranging her new life because she wanted a free-spirited lifestyle, whatever that meant. She'd realized being tied down with a baby wasn't her thing anymore. Only it was a bit too late for that. My husband and I were stunned and furious. We hadn't planned on another child. We already had a 2-year-old to care for, and adding another baby felt overwhelming, not to mention how unethical the whole situation was. My mother-in-law said she would have taken in her grandchild herself, but after losing her husband a few years earlier, she didn't think it was wise at her age, or affordable. Those sounded like excuses, honestly, and my husband decided to cut her off from our lives after that. Still, after thinking it through, we chose to keep our niece and raise her as our own daughter. We had no contact with Riley anymore, and since she had completely abandoned her child, we spoke with a lawyer about adopting Abby legally. It took over a year and a ton of paperwork, but we eventually managed to adopt Abby after Riley's parental rights were terminated for abandonment. Since then, Abby has been our daughter, no questions asked. A couple of years ago, my husband and I had another daughter, and our family finally felt complete. We've been raising all 3 kids together and had to be really careful with money, but it's all been absolutely worth it. Yet, despite everything, Riley now thinks she's entitled to demand her child back. About 2 weeks ago, she appeared at our door with her new fiancé, announcing that she was getting married and didn't want to go through another pregnancy. She just wanted Abby back. Like Abby was some outfit she'd loaned me, and not an actual person. I asked her to wait a minute, grabbed the adoption paperwork, and showed it to her before slamming the door in her face. She kept shouting from outside, but I'd finally done what I'd been waiting to do for years. Luckily, my husband was out with the kids when this happened, so they didn't have to witness any of it. Anyway, after I slammed the door and she started screaming at me, I warned her I'd call the police if she didn't leave, and she finally walked away. I honestly thought that would be the end of it after all. I had legally adopted Abby, so she couldn't really do anything about it. But now, she's playing the victim and trying to make my husband and me out to be the villains, and somehow, the family is actually falling for it. When my husband came home with the kids that day, I told him everything that happened. We both agreed we wouldn't let this affect us. But things have changed because, now, Almost every single member of his family is telling us what we're doing is wrong. That we have no right to keep a mother and daughter apart just because. We're attached to Abby. I don't know how to make them understand that my bond with Abby isn't just about having raised her for 5 years. I love her the same way I love my own children because I am her mother regardless of blood. My husband feels the same way. We've tried defending ourselves. But it doesn't help that even my mother-in-law, the same person who left Abby with us years ago and explained everything isn't on our side. She actually believes we should hand Abby back to Riley. I guess it's out of spite. Since we cut her out of our lives for being sneaky and unethical about the whole situation, her behavior at least makes some sense. She's just being petty and vindictive. But as for the rest of my husband's family, really don't know how to explain it. Messages have been pouring in since last week after Riley made a post about everything. In the post, she said she'd made a mistake 5 years ago by abandoning her daughter, but now she wanted to fix that, and we weren't letting her. She made it sound so emotional, and somehow she convinced people that she's the victim here. Ever since then, my husband's family hasn't missed a day. They've been calling us ruthless, telling us we're destroying Abby's life. It's gotten so bad that we're actually starting to question ourselves, and I honestly feel like I'm losing my mind. I know Riley can't do anything legally, which is probably why she's attacking us like this. So, what do you all think? Am I wrong for refusing to give my niece back to my sister-in-law after raising her for 5 years? Edit. I'm pasting Riley's post here for anyone who wanted to see what I'm talking about. Hi everyone, this is Riley, and I want to talk to you all about something really important today. It's about my daughter. I know many of you probably don't even know I have a daughter, and that's partly my own fault. I left my daughter behind when I left everything I knew 5 years ago. I wanted to be free from all the expectations everyone had for me. I wanted to start a new life, and to some extent, I've succeeded. I've found a wonderful man. Jacob loves me like nobody else, and soon he'll be my husband. When I told him about my daughter, he was ready to accept her, too, because that would complete our family. So I approached my sister-in-law, Michelle, who has been raising my daughter for the past 5 years. Unfortunately, she has decided to claim my daughter as her own and is refusing to let me have her back. I am helpless. Because she has transferred custody of my daughter to herself, and I don't think I can do anything legally. So I need all the help and support I can get from everyone here to bring my baby home. I know it was my mistake for trusting her in the first place. But honestly, I never expected anything like this to happen. I thought she'd just care for my baby while I was away, and when I was ready, I'd get to be a mother to my child again. But that chance has been taken away from me. And I can't even put into words how much it hurts. Please support me. I can't tell you how much it would mean. Thank you so much. Please help me get my baby back home. Hi, thank you to everyone who responded to my post. I've been driving myself crazy, overthinking everything. But after reading the comments, I realized I really was acting crazy for even entertaining these people. There's clearly something wrong with my husband's family, and it was foolish to care what they thought. Whatever they say doesn't matter, because they have no legal standing. The fact is, Riley abandoned her baby, and that's why we adopted Abby. If she'd been part of her daughter's life, I don't think the courts would have allowed any of this. She's been incredibly manipulative and skillful with her words, which is why so many of my family members are taking her side. But no matter how she twists things, we know the truth. At first, we were blocking people who messaged us, but when it got too overwhelming, we started doubting ourselves and stopped blocking for a while. Now, though, we're back to blocking everyone, and to be safe, we've talked to our lawyer. If Riley tries to create more drama, we're prepared to file a defamation lawsuit against her. For now, we're letting it go, because it really doesn't matter what my husband's relatives think. But if she goes public, we'll have to take serious legal action. It's wild that any of this is even happening and that people are actually supporting her. But stranger things have happened. So, it's been a week since my last update, and 2 days ago, for some reason, Riley showed up at our house again. I have no idea why. This time, my husband and kids were home, so I didn't even open the door. As soon as I saw her outside, I asked her to leave and kept my phone ready to call the police if she didn't. We've been blocking all the relatives who texted us in support of Riley, and we've blocked her everywhere, so she has no way to contact us. Basically, we had no idea what anyone else was up to. Sometimes ignorance really is bliss. I guess that's why she bothered to show up in person. When I told her to leave, she begged to just see Abby once. She said Abby was her biological daughter, and if she couldn't take her with her, the least I could do was let her see how Abby looked now. Her voice was shaky, like she might cry. But I wasn't falling for it. I told her I wouldn't even let her see Abby. She lost that right when she left her for a free-spirited lifestyle. And after all the nonsense she'd posted online, and the way she sent her whole family after us, she had no right to even speak to us. I gave her one last warning to leave, but she kept begging me not to do this. I didn't care. I told my husband what was happening, so he took the kids to the nursery while I called the cops. We just didn't want the kids to know any of this was going on, so he played with them while I handled the police. She was escorted off our property quietly, with no drama, which honestly surprised me. While we waited for the cops, she kept pleading to see her daughter and promised she'd go away and never bother me again if I just let her see Abby once. After she left, my husband and I talked, but unfortunately, we realized we can't stop her from showing up. We can file a restraining order, but that's really all we can do on, even then. There's no guarantee she'll stay away for good. Moving isn't an option, especially in this economy when rent is so high. Thankfully, my father-in-law bought this house for us, and it means a lot to us. Have sentimental reasons for staying, so moving was never really an option. We just have to deal with it, I guess. So I got a lot of comments on my last post calling me heartless, all because I didn't let Riley see Abby. It's honestly fascinating how people can call me heartless right now, even though Riley is the one who abandoned her baby and moved to another country just to live freely. She never once checked in on Abby or showed any concern for her well-being. And now, after 5 years of silence, suddenly she's desperate to be a mother again. On top of that, her behavior since coming back has been ridiculous, playing the victim online and sending her relatives to harass me. It's hard to feel sorry for someone like that. I truly don't feel any sympathy for her. Besides, I had considered every possibility before refusing her request. My biggest fear was that she might say something to Abby, and I'd be forced to explain things to a 5-year-old that she doesn't need to know right now. There's just no reason to create drama for no reason. That's why I asked Riley to leave. I don't think I'm the heartless one here at all, and anyone calling me that should seriously reconsider their judgment. Now that's out of the way. I want to talk about what happened recently. I think anyone who called me heartless for not letting Riley see Abby will change their mind after this, because Riley is clearly unstable. Last week, I refused to let her see Abby, and just a few days ago, she started stalking us. At first, neither my husband nor I were suspicious, but soon we noticed the same car tailing us every time we went out. It didn't take long to figure out it was Riley. A couple of days later, we decided to confront her. We pulled over while she was following us, walked up to her car, and demanded that she get out. When she did, I let her have it right there on the street. I didn't care who was watching. I wanted her to understand that her actions were disturbing and that I would file a restraining order because she was unstable and unfit to be around Abby. She stayed quiet for a couple of minutes, but when I told her she didn't deserve to be near Abby, she started yelling back. She screamed that she would make sure she took custody of her daughter away from me. She was pushing all my buttons, so I called her psychotic and told her to leave us alone. Then she slapped me. It happened so fast, I never saw it coming. Afterward, she immediately began apologizing with tears in her eyes, but I was done. Physical violence was my absolute limit. Add in the stalking, harassment, and everything else, and I knew I had to talk to a lawyer. My husband and I were shocked. We had been heading to the grocery store at the time, but we didn't even go inside. We just turned around and went home. As we got into our car, she followed us and kept begging for forgiveness. My husband finally told her that if she tried to follow us home, he'd make sure there would be serious consequences. She didn't follow us any further. Once we got home, I immediately called my lawyer and told him everything. He reassured me that he'd prepare the paperwork for a restraining order, just to be safe. He also told us to report Riley and press charges. So, after speaking to our lawyer, we called the police and explained the whole situation. Since it was just a slap, we figured she'd get a warning. But after we described the stalking and repeated harassment, the police decided to press charges. That should definitely help when we apply for the restraining order. We haven't heard from Riley since, and we truly hope it stays that way. After everything that's happened, I honestly don't think we have anything left to say to her. Never did in the first place. Up until now, we'd tried to keep things civil. She hadn't, but we just didn't want more drama in our lives. We figured if we ignored her, she'd take the hint and leave us alone. Clearly, that's not what happened. That's on us. We should have dealt with it directly, instead of trying to play nice. Our kids are our first priority, and we're just hoping none of this affects them. So far, it really hasn't, except they keep asking if we're okay, probably because we've been a little quieter than usual. We're trying to fix that and not let them know what we're going through. Keeping them happy is our main focus right now. Everything's been so stressful for my husband and me, but I just hope things get better soon. Please keep us in your prayers. It's been a month since my last update, and a couple of days ago, we finally managed to get the restraining order. That's been a huge relief, since we've both been so stressed out about all of this. Riley also got several hours of community service for stalking and slapping me. We haven't heard from her, but I know my mother-in-law is very upset again. Instead of being mad at the right person, she's blaming us. She thinks it's our fault I got slapped that day, and she even reached out to my parents to say so. She told them I'm heartless, and if I just let Riley see her daughter once, none of this would have happened. A couple of weeks ago, she called my parents and said I pushed her daughter to do something like this, and that things are going badly for Riley right now. I don't know how any of this is my fault, and even if, technically, it was, wouldn't my husband be at fault too? She didn't mention him at all. I really don't see any reason to drag my parents into this. I honestly can't understand why that woman has it out for me, or why my husband's family seems to hate me so much. I've always tried to be nice to them, but I guess for some people, that's never enough. Thankfully, she only spoke to my parents on the phone and never bothered them in person, so they could just hang up when they'd had enough. They only had to listen for a couple of minutes before disconnecting, and even after that, she sent them a bunch of messages calling them rude and mannerless, and saying she finally understood where I got it from. I think it's ridiculous that she's going to these lengths just to humiliate me when I haven't done anything wrong. I'm sure she's not that delusional. When we used to talk, she seemed like a reasonable person. If this is what she wants to do, that's her choice. All it'll do is make sure her son never talks to her and she loses access to her grandkids. But I doubt that'll bother her. He's already spent 5 years without them. So, what's 5 more? Eventually, though, she realized she's getting nowhere with Riley and she'll come crawling back to us. Then we'll talk. Anyway, my parents didn't seem to care. They just wanted to let me know what was happening behind my back. I felt a little insulted and felt like I needed to apologize, but they just brushed it off because they understood none of this was my fault. That's all done and over with now. We just hope this doesn't give my mother-in-law or Riley any ideas about talking to other people. So far, they've only tried to emotionally manipulate my husband's family. But if they take this public and start talking to our friends or coworkers, that would be really humiliating for us. There's not much we can do to stop it. We're just hoping it doesn't happen. At least we have the restraining order now, so if she tries to show up again, she'll be arrested, and that'll put an end to it. With that done, my husband and I are going to try to focus more on our kids now. We've been spending a little less time with them ever since Riley came back into our lives. So we decided it was time for a vacation. We've already started planning and talked about it at work too. We're honestly pretty excited because after all we've been through as a family, I think we deserve this break. Let's see how it goes. That's all for now. It's been a couple of months since my last update. After coming back from vacation with the kids, we all felt so much lighter, so I hadn't been active here. Anyway, last evening I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. After reading it, I realized it was Riley's fiancé, the same guy who came with her the first day all this started. At first, I was confused about why he was reaching out. But after reading the whole message, the gist was that he had dumped Riley and just wanted to apologize to us. He said Riley had shared my number with him earlier, wanting him to message me when I'd blocked her, but he thought that would be taking it too far, so he never did at least not until recently. He had always sympathized with Riley and thought I was in the wrong, but he admitted he'd always had some doubts. Something must have changed for him. He didn't say what, but he said he finally realized Riley was the one at fault and didn't want to be involved in anything so toxic, so he broke up with her. He was moving back to his hometown soon, but before leaving, he wanted to apologize for not standing up for me sooner and for all the trouble Riley had caused. I thought it was sweet of him. He wasn't really part of the drama, but he still wanted to do the right thing. I showed my husband the message, and he was surprised too. We just told the fiancé it was fine, wished him well, and that was that. Then, this morning, we heard from some friends that Riley was crying about it on social media. Apparently, she posted a video saying she'd been dumped by her fiancé of 3 years on. Of course, blamed me for it. I still don't get how any of this is my fault. But that's just how Riley and her mom operate whatever goes wrong. They blame me. Her video was obviously meant to get sympathy and attention, and it worked. Our friends said the comments were full of people hating on me and telling Riley she deserved better. They were painting her as some tragic figure who'd been through so much. But honestly, we know the truth about her. It doesn't matter, she's getting all her karma right now. My last update was only a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't think I'd be back so soon. But what I heard next was honestly hilarious. Our friends told us that Riley and my mother-in-law are now having a very public argument on social media. Apparently, after Riley got dumped, she blamed her mom in one of her videos. I guess after blaming me for a few days and realizing I wouldn't react, she decided to target her own mother. She claimed that her mom was actually the one who made her give up her baby to me. And now her mom was just as much to blame for the mess. Her fiancé leaving is suddenly everyone's fault except her own. It's honestly funny watching her dodge accountability like this. I guess she's in denial right now, but she won't be able to run from the truth forever. Till then, she can keep blaming her mom for everything because the way they're fighting online right now is just hilarious.